What's up, everybody? Anox checking in here for another Fireside Chat. I'm actually in my car right now, outside the gym, trying to get a workout in before the snow/ice apocalypse comes. So I'm probably gonna superimpose a fireside thing in the background, if I can. Currently 12 degrees right now in my car, so I hope everybody stays safe and warm during this whole thing. I think it's going to start around 3 o'clock in the morning here in New York. So I'm actually in the gym parking lot trying to get that workout in. Gym looks like it's fucking packed right now. Probably people trying to do the same damn thing. But I wanted to check in today and talk about something else. I want to talk about sort of the way kids are raised nowadays and modern technology and generations and what we always talk about right now, right? We're always talking about, well, my generation, Gen X, and and these kids these days, right? We're starting our generation, the Gen Xers, and I'm a young Gen Xer. I was born in 1980, but we're starting to sound like old people, right? With kids these days and all that shit, the same shit we got. So, just wanted to talk about, a little bit about the positives and negatives of the differences. First of all, like I had said on the Gentleman's Roundtable, because we're going to start probably talking about a little reminiscent about the old days a little bit, but the blessings in my life came into my life from the year 2000 on, which was my wife, who I met in March of 2000. We were both still 20 years old at that point. She was turning 21. I was still 20. She's about a year older than me. She's a year ahead of me in school, which is a big deal because at that age, it was a big deal, right? Like, so she can get into the bars before me at 21, even though, fake IDs don't always work. And even going back before that, you got your license first for a year, you're in college for a year, while the other one's still in high school, and we met in college. She was a junior, I was a sophomore, but 1 year is big back then. But anyway, it's a little bit of a sidetrack, but, it's about, like, how kids are raised now versus how kids were raised then, and because my blessings came into my life in the 2000s, I would never want to go back to the 80s and 90s. I would never want to go back, but I would never want to grow up in a different time. And not only the 80s and 90s, but the 80s and 90s in the United States of America is probably the best time to grow up in the history of the human race, dating all the way back to when humans first walked, okay? We grew up, and we're so fortunate we grew up in the best damn time. The 80s and 90s in America. In the 80s, it was like almost like world peace. Even the Cold War was over. The only threat was like Omar Gaddafi or some shit like that, right? And just the music, the movies, the cartoons, the toys, the pop culture, the dress, the trends, that was the peak of human creativity. And that explosion in the 90s as well. Ever since then, when the sun set in 1999... it's never been the same. The Y2K never happened, but the towers went down a year later, and I'm from New York. Literally, when I used to drive down the block and turn onto Metropolitan Avenue, I would see the Twin Towers, going to the mini mall over there. When you would drive to the top of the mall, you could see them. So when the towers first went down and I first came back to my neighborhood, the first thing I did was drive to that rooftop. And I stood up there. This is about a week later, and I looked across, and all I saw was a big hole, And it was like a hole in my soul. And things have never really truly been the same since then. But my life has been better since then. I mean, my life, from meeting my wife and getting married, having my kids, and all that, the last 26 years have been absolutely incredible. I can't complain about that. I feel like right now, I'm going to be 46 next month. I'm peaking out. I'm at the peak of my physical fitness. I'm at the peak financially. Me and my wife are actually peaking intimately, because the kids are like, not as dependent on us anymore, so we're able to carve out some more time for ourselves, and, we've been together for so long that, you hear a lot of people, say negative things about that, but not us, so it's almost like a newer, rejuvenated life being shed on that, and the intimacy there, and I can't complain about anything. Obviously we all have problems, we all have losses and stuff like that, but I was talking about somebody, guys recently about that, and we were talking about the glory days. I'm like, my glory days are now, so I got stories for days of back in the day, and that's a whole nother topic for another day, maybe another fireside chat. What I wanted to really talk about is technology and how kids are raised now, and how we say when we go back in the day how much better it was that we didn't have cell phones, that we didn't have iPads, that we didn't have this, that, and right. So was that the best thing that our parents, the baby boomers, most of us Gen X were raised by baby boomers, some by the silent. Excuse me, I got a little cold. Was that the best thing to have us go out of the house till dark, till the street lights came on, and not know where the fuck we were? I couldn't imagine. My daughter's going to middle school next year. Her going and taking the bus, leaving in the morning, walking to the bus stop, getting on the bus. You know, an 11-year-old girl going to school, getting on the bus, coming back, walking back without a cell phone or any kind of connection to me. Couldn't imagine it. So we were out all fucking day long, and they had no fucking clue where we were and no connection. I went to Cancun, Mexico on spring break in 1999. No cell phone, no connection. Here I am in a fucking foreign country, an 18-year-old kid. I just turned 19, drinking. Who the fuck? I can't believe I made it back. I didn't wind up in a fucking Mexican jail for the rest of my fucking life. Okay, so we have improved from that. But it's the first time around for parenting. For everybody's, this is our first time around in life, so I wouldn't want any other parents. I love my mom and my dad. My dad, rest in peace. Wouldn't want any other parents. You know, wouldn't want any other father. So it's an improvement for each generation. My dad coached my baseball team, you know, and, you know, so he made that effort. He put that effort out. He coached my baseball team. He was involved with me like that in many ways. You know, but when he stopped coaching, I stopped playing, and I was one of the better first basemen too, and I hated the new coach, and I said, fuck you, I'm quitting. I quit in the playoffs. You know, so he wasn't there to guide me and say, don't do that, and push me further with things. That part he just sort of wasn't there for, whereas me with my son, and even my father had said this, I'm such an advisor to him during his whole process. He got pulled up to varsity football last year, and he's on his way to varsity baseball pretty soon. This will be his second year JV if he doesn't get pulled up. But he has aspirations, and he's dedicated, and that's just something that wasn't instilled within me that I instilled in him. So it's that constant improvement. And even with growing up with the iPads, with the cell phones and all that, I still make that concerted effort to get him out there and steer him away from that and get him into real life. I mean, as far as sports and socializing and things like that, riding his bike, stuff like that, it's kind of dying out. But on Black Friday, I had him in Walmart, and he was like a fucking deer in headlights in Walmart, like a chicken without its head walking around, like he didn't know how to function in an actual fucking store. You know, so like, it wasn't Amazon, and you press a button or whatever. So I'm like, this is, you know, a store. These are aisles. And, you know, he's the one of the last Toys R Us generation, so he does remember that as a kid, but I guess it was far gone from. I used to go food shopping with my parents all the time, just so I knew what the fuck was in the house. And the Wallbounds was in like a little mini mall, and there was a Sam Goody there, and I'd go in there, and that's also dead now, right, too? You don't go seek the music. Oh, you hear that song, damn, I gotta go get that album, right? So you just download it on your phone. So all those things and all those things in the phone now take us away from what life used to be. It used to feel like, I was saying, like at Christmas time, the hustle and bustle, you know, was great. It doesn't feel that way anymore, having to go out, but at least you know you're getting what you want, and you're not going to go with your kid doesn't get that toy that was sold out, or like people aren't fucking killing each other at Walmart for a fucking television anymore. Like, so it's different. It doesn't feel the same, but it's better in ways. So I don't want to lose sight of how, you know, it could be better. You know, so that cell phone now is a connection to them. I mean, my buddy was telling me his daughter drives, and, you know, if he's got an app on her phone where if she brakes hard, he knows. So if she got in an accident or something, he would know. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there. And so I think there's a balance you got to find between that and like, you know, keeping kids in too much of a shell and being too coddled, as opposed to using some of the technology and as, you know, it's an improvement as a parent. You know what I'm saying? Our parents, they held us in the front seat with no car seat, not thinking if there was a car accident, we would go through the front fucking windshield. You know, but they would tell us not to turn the light on in the back, that you get arrested or some stupid shit like that. You know, they would smoke in the house, and you would have to fucking go low and crawl to get rid of the cloud of smoke at Christmas time. not thinking about how it's affecting our lungs, the secondhand smoke and all that shit. Leave us in carriages outside of stores, and fucking carriages could be mixed up. You take the wrong baby home, somebody could fucking steal you. I had to take a piss, and my grandmother would just pull down my pants, stick me in between two cars on Manhattan Avenue in Brooklyn. So I think a lot of stuff we're more aware of now, and we've improved as parents, but that's nothing against our parents, because my father, he coached my baseball team, but his father never even went to his baseball games, right? So that's why he quit, because his father never went to his games. And then his father, my grandfather, told me that, he took a hammer and he fucking broke up the sidewalk on the street, knowing that he was going to get in trouble, but knowing that that was the only way he was going to get his father's attention, and that his father would pay any attention to him is if he did something fucking crazy like that, so he did it. So, again, the improvement over the generations, I don't want to lose sight that there is improvement. Yeah, the good old days were great to talk about and stuff like that, but just think of all the stupid shit that could have been avoided. I mean, when you were out there with no connection, and things were just different back then, right? You had to actually call somebody you were dating or call your friend and speak to their parents first to get to them. So your parents would screen your calls, and that was like a gauntlet you had to go through. So that was, I guess, one good thing about that, right? Your parents can screen your calls for you, and I guess, whereas now if you have a cell phone, you don't know who the fuck's calling them. So that's like the opposite thing, right? Who's texting them? So, even you could say dating back then, there was less possessiveness, right? Because, once you hang up the phone, and you go about your own business, about your own day, and you didn't know, or you could say, but you didn't really know when the next time you're going to speak to that person was, because you have to get them when they were home. You got to go talk to whoever answers the phone and ask for them, and you would talk on the phone more, because that otherwise you would feel lonely. Whereas now we have the texting and the connection, the social media, and that constant social connection probably leads to more possessiveness now in a relationship and less space and stuff like that. Whereas back then, you had more space, right? And so you would go about your own business, and then, you would call and speak to somebody. Unless, obviously, you lived around the corner from each other or next to each other or real close proximity to each other, and you were just spending time together when you were outside of the house, because you could walk and see each other and stuff. But all the things, I was out doing graffiti, drinking at a young age. My son's 15, and he's never had a sip of alcohol. I was getting drunk with my friends, drinking 40s after school back then, and you talk about it and you laugh about it, but, dangerous shit could have happened. Dangerous shit did happen. I mean, one of my friends was stabbed, lost a lung. Another one got his hand cut with a box cutter. His hand was hanging off. So I had a lot of issues. I got death threats in school that people were going to cut me, and they signed all the graffiti tags, and I had to lay low for a while. So all that type of shit, I just feel like with my kids out there now, I have more of a controlled environment, but I'm also in the suburbs. So, they have the cell phones, so there's that connection. And then if they go to an event, it's like a football game or something, and they'll hang out by the bleachers and shit. But, you got parents there, you got eyes on them, and if a parent sees them doing something, they'll text you right away. So there's good and bad. I'm not saying keep your kid on a leash or anything like that, but, there's definitely a balance. And I don't want to shit on the way it is now, because we have improved from a parenthood perspective. And like I said, through the generations, I think we've improved from that respect as well. So those are just the thoughts I had on my mind today. I probably had some other shit to say too, but I might have spilled it all out. Wearing a Chicago Bulls giveaway scally today that they gave away. It's actually a St. Patrick's Day giveaway. It's got the green in it. I got it on today because it's Derrick Rose Day, and they're going to retire his number tonight. I'm a big Bulls fan. Came up in the 90s with Jordan and all them. And that's another thing, back then, that was definitively what you were, right? You went into somebody's room, you knew what they were. So you came into my room, I had a Beastie Boys poster, a Bob Marley poster, a Michael Jordan poster, the famous dunk from the foul line, shit like that. So, you would, in high school and your teenage years, you would search for an identity, and you try to identify yourself and then splash your walls with all that shit, So you were identified by how you dressed, what you liked, what music you listened to, and it was just really, we were searching for something there. Whereas most of us didn't really find ourselves till later in life. So just appreciate where you are right now. If you're in a good spot, stay safe in this weather. And if you listen to me throughout this whole fucking spiel and this discourse, props. I'll catch you soon. Anox Unboxed. The birthday special is going to be dope. I got 2 hats. It's probably going to be about 8 in total. So can't wait for that. Later. And yo, on that same note, on some real-time shit, just got out of the gym doing my workout. And there was 4 kids, teenagers, like late teens, standing around with their heads in their phones, right? And you know they fucking take 5 years in between sets during their workouts with their broccoli heads and their pajama pants. So anyway, there's a nice girl standing in front of them, skin tight, workout outfit, nice body. Not one of them picked their heads up to look at this girl, and I'm looking at them like, look at this shit. So she walks away, and they start doing their sets again, and they start talking about what girls like. Well, girls don't like guys with a small lower body. We got to do our legs. The girls this, girls that. Here goes me on this tip. I go up to them, right? And I'm like, yo, what do you think girls like? To the one kid. He's like, honestly, I don't know, man. And I'm like, yo, correct answer. Because not one man since the beginning of time knows what women want. I said, if you're trying to figure that species out, you join the long list, you know? So I said, let me tell you something. He goes, what? I said, be yourself. Dress how you want to dress. Look how you want to look. Whatever makes you feel happy. Because women all want different things, different looks. They're looking for different things. Some of them ain't even looking for looks. I'm like, you know, you seen that hot girl with that busted ass guy, right? And they start laughing. So I said, what you want is to be yourself, and you're going to attract that one girl who looks at you like you're the only guy in the world. You know, who the only guy that ever will be, ever was, the best that ever was, ever will be, ever is, and ever will be, like Bret Hart, I said. So they, he was like, dude, that's some good advice, thanks. I'm like, yeah, because all that's going to matter is what she thinks, you know, and what she wants. And she's going to want you, and that's all that matters. So be yourself. And I walked away, and I know that they're like, yo, Unc with some advice, you know what I'm saying? So I'm officially an Unc now. So I thought that was funny just to jump off on my pre-conversation and going in there. So now I'm Unc in the gym. Later, everybody.